everyone! It feels like absolutely forever since I just sat down and filmed a video. It has been a while. It just feels like even though I now have a different job that I had for the previous years, it still feels like a hectic month anyway, and I still feel really busy with like buying presents, wrapping presents, meeting family and maybe friends on occasion as well. And also we've got a new kitten as well. I would have shown him to you, but he's asleep in a different room and I don't want to disturb him. But hopefully you'll see him in a different video, maybe, but because I'm planning to film 3 different videos today, so you're going to see the same outfit for 3 videos. But maybe he will wake up for one of the videos and I'll show him to you. But he's a little ginger cat, so he's so lovely. So yeah, hopefully you'll see him in the future videos. But today I'm here right now to wrap up November, my reading in November, which was a while ago. Like, I'm filming it on the 24th of December, which is obviously way too late, but I thought it's better later than never, and I'd rather not skip a month of telling you which books I have read. So in the month of November I actually managed to finish 8 books. I think 3 of them were audiobooks, so only 5 of them were physical books, but I'm going to talk about all of those in the order that I read them. Also, November was the month of Believathon and I participated and I definitely passed. So I read 3 middle grades I think, but we'll see what I have to tell you. So the very first book I finished in the month of November was Shadowghast by Thomas Taylor, which is the 3rd book in the Eerie-on-Sea series, and I really enjoyed this one again. It was just nice to get back to the same characters, to the same town, because it's so atmospheric and you already know the characters, you're so already invested in their stories. Can't really tell you what the 3rd book is about because obviously it's the 3rd book in a series, but the series is set on this Eerie-on-Sea town, which is during summer months called Cheery-on-Sea, but during winter months I think the 2 letters either don't light up or fall off, I can't quite remember. It's called Eerie-on-Sea, which really goes with the atmosphere. So yeah, it's sort of like a creepy atmosphere in a seaside town, which I really love, this kind of atmosphere. We've got 2 main characters, a boy and a girl, Violet Parma, who is looking for her parents, and we also have the lost and founder of the hotel in which this is also set in as well, and Herbert Lemon. He is also, I think, trying to find his parents. Sorry, that's a terrible explanation. I can't quite remember how to describe the first book, but it's definitely worth the read and I'm really enjoying the series always. It's so atmospheric, like I said, and it's just a lovely middle grade series in general, so I've given this one 4 stars. My next book was actually the audiobook, The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst. It was a fantasy novel, and I think it was a what's it called, standalone fantasy novel, I think, because the way it ended, I don't think it needed a sequel or anything, so I don't think there is a sequel. I could be completely wrong. So in this story we follow our main character, who was basically 25 years ago there was this big group of people, well 5 people, who defeated the Bone Maker, who was really evil and all that, but only 4 of them survived. So we've got this main character who is now trying to resurrect her husband who died back then, but in order to do that she needs to use human bones, which is illegal in this world, but she would rather risk anything she can just to be with her husband again. But the quantity of the bones that Kreia, who's the main character, needs to find to resurrect her husband, she needs a lot of them, but all of the dead are burned so that nobody can use their bones. So she is planning to go to visit the battlefield where a lot of people died. But then she finds something else in there. But defying the laws of the land exposes a terrible possibility. Maybe the dead don't rest in peace after all. 5 warriors, 1 broken, 1 gone soft, 1 pursuing a simple life, 1 stuck in the past, and 1 who should be dead. Their story should have been finished, but evil doesn't stop just because someone once said the end. I really enjoyed the book. I don't really have a lot to say about it. It feels like it was a while ago that I finished it, so it's not exactly fresh in my mind either. but I have given it only 3 stars. I don't think it was like amazing or particularly interesting. I think if it had a sequel, I'm not sure if I would have gone into it, because it seems like I've already forgotten some of it anyway. But it was interesting at the time. The concept was really definitely interesting, and it was definitely dark, because obviously resurrecting dead people from the bones doesn't sound like any like light topic. But I did enjoy it. It was interesting, and the characters were all as well different and fleshed out and interesting, so that was good. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about it. It's just genuinely, it was nice to read. Well, not nice to read. It was, yeah, I enjoyed it, and I haven't got anything else to say about it. The next book I read is another middle grade novel, and that is The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. In this story, this village has always been given their infants once a year to the witch who is supposedly taking them. So it's like their sacrifice, and they're used to that. But the witch is taking all of the children that people are giving to her. She doesn't know why it's happening. She still takes care of them and feeds them starlight. But one day, accidentally, she feeds one of the children moonlight, and that is Luna. And she decides to raise her as her own. The story is really, I don't know, to me when I was reading it, it felt absolutely sad all the way throughout. There was like an underlying sadness constantly, which made me not quite enjoy this book as much, because I think maybe I wasn't in a great mental space myself. But reading this book made me feel even worse. I'm not like saying it's the book's fault at all. I think you might just need to read it at the time when you're not feeling down yourself. But I do think it did feel magical as well. I felt like there was this nice sort of calm, magical atmosphere that transports you completely to a different world of these two people, and the creatures that they live with, the friendships that Luna makes. It is wonderful, but like I said, the book is really sad. And for that reason, I've only given it 3 stars. I don't know whether if I read it when I was feeling better, mentally or emotionally, if I would have given it a higher rating. I'm not sure. But yeah, at this point it's just the 3 stars. But it was good. But the sadness in this book honestly really put me off. But I know that a lot of people love this book. It's really, really popular, and I do see why. It's a lovely story, it's beautiful, it's definitely beautifully written, the atmosphere is great, the characters are great, the love, like the family love in here is lovely as well. It's just, yeah, the sadness that put me off a little bit. The next book I read was The Doll Maker of Cairo by R.M. Romero, which is a historical fiction, middle grade, I think. It is set in the period of World War II. We follow this doll maker who one day comes across a doll who is alive, and they form this lovely friendship. Also, one day they have to save their friends who are in trouble because they're Jewish. This story, I honestly fell in love with it so much. I've given it 5 stars, which it was my 5-star prediction, so that was really good that I managed to give it 5 stars. But I found the writing style was almost like magical. The doll and the doll maker, both of them, their characters, they're so lovely, especially the doll maker. He's so kind, he's so like calm and interesting himself, and the friendship that they created is just so heartwarming. It's just absolutely wonderful. I do think it has illustrations throughout the book as well. It must do. Well, maybe not, but it does have the little things here and there. Also, there's like an underlining story of the land of the dolls, where the doll came from. There's like a different war going on there, and we see little snippets here and there from there, because the doll is supposed to be saving her world, but now instead she's transported into the real world where the war is going. But yes, honestly, this book made me fall in love with it so much. The characters was probably my favorite bit, the friendships that they've created. There were two side characters, the Jewish people. They were absolutely wonderful as well, and oh my god, the friendships especially, like I think I'm tearing up thinking about this book even now. It's just, yeah, it was also sad, definitely a sad story, but like unlike with the previous book, this one definitely didn't put me off. I felt for it. For the characters, it did. I think I cried in this book. I definitely did cry in this book. But yeah, it was absolutely wonderful. The friendships, the atmosphere, the plot, all of the characters. It was just beautiful, so beautiful. I definitely highly recommend this one because I don't hear a lot of people talk about this book at all. I think I've seen maybe 1 or 2 people talking about it, but it's definitely absolutely worth the read if you like stories that are set in the period of World War II. And a bit like fantastical. It's just beautiful. And also look at the cover. I really like the cover of this book. It is amazing. I love this book. I think it's definitely going to make it to my favorite books of the year, 100%. So it might be even the best book I've read this year so far. Nothing else springs to mind, but I could be wrong. I'm not great with memory, but yes, this is absolutely wonderful. The next book that I read was another audiobook, and that was All the Murmuring Bones by A.G. Slatter. And for some reason, I'm already struggling to remember what it was about. Again, I listened to the audiobook on the script, so let me get the description for you. It also surprisingly has a really high star rating on Goodreads. It's like 4.4 out of 2,378 ratings, so a lot of people did give it a high rating. I've only given it 3 stars. Long ago, Miriam O'Malley's family prospered due to a deal struck with the Mer people, safety for their ships in return for a child of each generation. But for many years, the family have been unable to keep their side of the bargain and have fallen into decline. Miriam's grandmother is determined to restore their glory, even at the price of Miriam's freedom. A spellbinding tale of dark family secrets, magic and witches and creatures of myth, and the of strong women and the men who seek to control them. I remember really enjoying it towards the end of the book because there were a couple of revelations towards the end of the book that, had I known them in advance, I would have been way more invested in the book and would have been way more interested in it. So it would have been nice if I knew that in advance somehow. But the book, I did enjoy it. It just wasn't amazing. But I do feel like it might be something to do with the fact that I was listening to the audiobook, because I think I was listening to it when I was commuting to work. So I do feel like sometimes I might have not exactly like dozed off because I was concentrating on the road, on driving. That might have caused my attention sometimes wavering from the book. So it could have contributed to the fact that I've only given it 3 stars. And I do think maybe if I read it physically, it would have been a 4-star rating. But yeah, it was definitely interesting. There were definitely a couple of unexpected moments. So some things that happened that I did not see them coming at all. And I really enjoyed it. So now thinking about it, I do think maybe 3-star rating is a little bit harsh. Maybe it should be at least 3.5 stars. But unfortunately, Goodreads doesn't really let you do that anyway. But yeah, it was a good book, and I think in the future, if I come across it in a physical copy, I might pick it up and reread it, because I do feel like I've only not enjoyed it as much just because it was an audiobook. But it was really, really good. And like I said, unexpected moments were just definitely made the story so much better. And of course, Mere people, they're not like a massive part of the story, but they are partially in the story. So it's not like, I wouldn't call it extremely like fantasy. It's more set in real world, but in the past, by the way. I think it's like a historical fantasy-ish. Is it even fantasy? I'm not sure. But basically, it was a good book and I enjoyed it. The next one was another audiobook, and that one is called, it's got a long title, so I'm just gonna read it to you. I'd Rather Be Reading: The Delights and Dilemmas of the Reading Life by Anne Bogle. Sorry if I butchered the name, but it was more of a non-fiction. The author was just describing different things about reading, and I absolutely love the book. I have given it 4 stars. I did think, oh, maybe I should give it 5 stars, but I feel like, I don't know, it was only a 2-hour audiobook, I think, or 2.5 hours, but it was like a love letter to literature, and I absolutely enjoyed every second of it, but it wasn't quite enough to give it 5 stars to. But I do think, like, maybe even if you were in a reading slump or something, reading this book or listening to it would probably help you get it out of your reading slump, because the love for literature, the different like references for different things of different people, is just lovely. She it's like an essay about reading and how different people like read. I can't quite describe what the book is about, but it's just about reading, really. Her experience of reading, different people's experience of reading, how they read, what they choose to read, and all of that. I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good book. The next book that I read was The Cat Who Saved Books by Sasuke Natsukawa, which is a spoiler to my end of year book haul, which I'm planning to film next after this video. Ever since I've seen this book on Cody from Cody Book Corner channel, I've wanted it, because everything screams at me that I'm gonna love it. It's also obviously about books, it's about the cat, and also it's written by a Japanese author. And I seem to have enjoyed a couple of books set in Japan, written by Japanese authors in the past. A couple of them were disappointments though, but I was definitely willing to give them a go. This one was on the disappointing side though. I only gave it 3 stars. So in this book we follow our main character whose grandfather died, and he used to work with his granddad in the second-hand bookshop. So now obviously he's dealing with grief, and he's probably going to be moving somewhere else, so the bookshop might have to be closed. But then one day he meets this cat who suddenly takes him on adventure to save different books. What put me off immediately in this book was the cat. The cat was a proper arrogant asshole. And for some reason, going into this book, I just thought it was going to be a sweet story about the cat who saved books, and it would be something cute and sweet, close to like the Traveling Cat Chronicles in that way, but it really wasn't. I hated the cat in this book, which is really unlike me. I normally love cats in books because I'm a massive cat lover. But yeah, the cat really put me off. And it never actually explained why the hell the cat wants to save books. That also bugged me throughout the whole book. Like, why would he want to save books? It's never explained. And yeah, but I did enjoy it anyway. But those 2 things just really bugged me, and that's why the rating is 3 stars. Honestly, the cat really put me off. But the stories in general, they were good. The adventures that they went on to be saving books were interesting in some way, but also a little bit exaggerated. Like, that would never happen in real life. But yeah, so that was another thing. So it's a little bit unrealistic. Well, obviously with a talking cat who goes to save books, that kind of implies that it's unrealistic, but I hope you know what I mean anyway. So it was a little bit of a disappointment to me, but I really like the cover. But I genuinely was hoping that was going to be another 5-star book, but no, it absolutely wasn't, unfortunately. And then the last book that I finished in the month of November was The Haunting Season by different authors. So it's Ghostly Tales for Long Winter Nights. Again, I really appreciate the cover. There are 8 different stories in here, and a lot of them are, well, all of them I think actually, like historical fiction, slightly creepy historical fiction, obviously, as it is The Haunting Season. There were different authors like Bridget Collins, Imogen Hermes Gower, I'm so sorry for the name, Kieran Millwood Hargrave, Andrew Michael Hurley, Jess Kidd, Elizabeth McNeil, Natasha Pulley, and Laura Purcell. I did give this book 4 stars. There were different stories that I liked more than the others, but also if you ask me now which stories I liked the most or not, I can't tell you, because they're sort of blended in together in my head, because they are quite similar to each other, to one another as well. But the story that I was mostly looking forward to was Elizabeth McNeil's story, because I enjoyed her The Doll Factory, and I talked about her a lot on my channel anyway. But the story that she's written, I was really disappointed. That was my least favourite story in the book. There was unnecessary sexual references, like it was literally unnecessary, and the plot was a bit confusing. I still don't really know what the hell happened and why it happened, so it was a bit anticlimactic to me. But I can't, if I'm honest, I can't remember which story I enjoyed the most. I definitely remember reading A Study in Black and White by Bridget Collins, who is the author of The Binding, which I did not like that book. But this book, this little short story, the writing style in there was so actually beautiful that I think in the future I might not just neglect that author just because I didn't like one book by her. I might give it a chance more if I like what the story sounds like, because the writing style was definitely beautiful. So now I've changed my mind a little bit about the author, because before then I was absolutely certain I was never going to read anything by her, but now I'm not so certain. I think maybe The Chillingham Chair by Laura Purcell was my favourite story, because it was the most intriguing, the most interesting, the most like ghosty one, and the writing style, again, Laura Purcell is one of my favourite authors. I love her writing style, I love her plot, I love everything about her books. So maybe that's why she definitely did not disappoint me, and I think it was my favourite story throughout the whole short story collection. But I did enjoy it. I'm normally not great with short story collections, but this one was definitely a good one. It was definitely entertaining, definitely like creepy in places, and perfect for the season and all that. So I did enjoy it, but some stories more than others, which is normal, I think, for a short story collection anyway. So yeah, I was meant to film this very quickly because it's been a while, but I think this video turned out to be long anyway, so I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned today and what you thought of them. But apart from that, if you like this video, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye!